Okay, welcome to our how-to video on the 2022 Chevy Trailblazer. This happens to be the RS trim level. Today I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started.
Today we're working with our friends at Mankato Motors Chevrolet in Mankato, Minnesota.
On the driver's dashboard here, you have got a really nice looking RPM gauge. I love the red around the outside, the RS written in the top half. So you got the RPM gauge there. You've got a digital fuel gauge below. And then over on the far right, you have a speedometer and a digital engine temperature gauge. Now, the speedometer and the tach are analog. It's just the bottom third of the window that's digital, where you see the fuel and the engine temperature. Now in the middle we have a 3.5-inch digital screen measured diagonally, and that is where all the information is that you can configure. So basically, Chevy has set this up really simply. You see on the top we've got trip, vehicle, and eco. And those are the three things that you can get things in. So if I use the steering wheel controls over here on the right-hand side, and I use my arrow, I'm just gonna go back here to trip. And then you'll notice on the right, there's a bunch of little dash dots then at the very bottom, there's a little thicker line. You can kind of see it crawling up. Okay. So you can use this rotary dial to go through the various different screens. So for instance, here we have under trip, we've got a digital speedometer. I'm gonna roll down one. You got trip one. And if I want to reset that, okay, I'm just going to click and hold, and it resets. Okay, I'm going to go down one, that's trip two, reset it the same way. We've got screen 3 here, or 4, I guess, and then you have miles to go. So 121 miles left until you're empty. And then you've got instantaneous fuel economy. You have average fuel economy, and again, you can reset the average one just by pushing this rotary dial. And then the last screen gives you average vehicle speed, and again you can reset that right here by pushing on that. All right, I'm gonna go over one more to the right. All right, so we've got at the very top, we've got remaining oil life. Scroll down one, and again, these are, you can hit this to reset them. Air filter life. All right, now down at the bottom left, it says options. So if I click this, I can reset, disable, or exit. So I'm just going to exit, but that's what that is. If I go down one more, you got your tire pressure monitoring system, and they show you all 4 tires. Go down one more. This is your following distance indicator per second. So it tells you, how many seconds are you behind somebody? Are you the 3 seconds you should be, or if you're a motorcycle or following a motorcycle or a truck, should you be 4 seconds? So there you can look and actually see what it is. All right, down here, this is where you can change units. And if I click the rotary wheel, I can change it to US or metric simply by clicking on this. I'm just gonna click on exit, and we're at the bottom of the screen. Now, if I keep rotating down on any of these screens, it jumps back to the top. So I'm gonna go over one more to the right. This is eco. I'm gonna scroll to the very top here. Whoops, there we go. So this is another graph of your fuel economy, and it shows you the average and then your best. This is for your last 50 miles. So if you want to reset it, you can push right here. I'm gonna go down one. All right, so we're gonna look at top consumers of gas. So if I press here, I'll get a list. Air conditioner, that's what's drawing the most gas in the car. All right, and if there were more, I suppose it would list more. All right, let's go down one. Here's your economy trend for your miles per gallon. Go down one more, and that's the last screen here. And this is your eco index. So it gives you an average for your, and we haven't driven enough to get anything to go, but it'll show you your drive cycle, how many miles you've gone, and your average miles per gallon, and how economically you've driven. And again, if I rotate one more, I'm back to the top. And that is it on the driver's information screen. The only other thing you'll see, if I turn the cruise control on, you'll see that little emblem in the speedometer turn on and off. Okay, and then if I do the crash mitigation button right here, you'll see a collision alert. And if you press it again, that's like, I'm gonna let you know you're gonna crash right before you crash. And this one is, I'm gonna give you a little bit more of a warning. And then of course your heated steering wheel button, which doesn't show up anywhere, it just has the little light that that comes on. All right, that's it for the driver's information screen. Next, we'll move over to the infotainment screen. The infotainment screen itself is 7 inches. It has AM and FM, XM, and HD radio. It has Bluetooth, which will connect up to 2 devices simultaneously, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, a 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot, and built-in Alexa. Now below the screen there are some physical buttons. There is the home button, which will toggle you between your apps and your split screen. You have a skip backwards and skip forwards button for the media. You have a physical rotary volume and a push for power on or power off, and then a physical back button. Now right below all the apps on the screen you have some shortcuts that are available. These are identical to the apps that are in the screen, with the exception of the home button that's on the far left. If you swipe to the right, you're going to see your split screen where you've got media and then phone. Let's take a look at media. Now on the far left you've got sources listed. It's not a complete list, but if you click the more button, then you get a complete list of all your sources. Hit the back button. Right, there are a couple of ways to tune the radio. First of all, you can scan forwards and you can scan backwards. Now you can press the tune button in the middle if you want to physically plug in a station, or use the arrows that are to the right. If you want to make it a favorite, there's a favorite button right above, and you can just click that. Hit the back button. Now over here on the top right you got sound, and this is where you can adjust your bass, mid-range, and treble. You can do it just by sliding your finger up and down, or you can use the arrows that are on the screen. You can also look at the fade and balance, and that works the same way. Now at the top of the screen are all of your favorites. So to set a favorite, you're just going to find a station, and then you're going to click and hold, and there you go. Now your station is set. There are more favorites over to the right if you scroll, or you can use the arrows. If you hit the browse button, you can see a list of stations at a glance. I do like it that they put the round circle in the middle that lists the actual station that you're scrolling by. Now AM and FM and XM all look the same way. If I click on there, you see that. If I click on AM, you'll see it's all set up the same way, which makes it easy to use all 3. Now I'm going to hit the home button here. Alright, so we'll come back to phone in a little bit. There's your Wi-Fi icon to adjust your Wi-Fi. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Let's take a look at climate. Alright, so you have digital controls up here that'll do all of your climate functions. And you do have physical ones below as well. Hit the home button. Let's take a look at settings. So on the top you've got system, apps, and vehicle. So under system, you can do things like adjust the date and time, change the language, look at your phones, look at your Wi-Fi networks, and then you can just scroll down. You can take a look at privacy, device remote access. Now on the display itself, you have a mode button, which will automatically adjust the brightness of your screen for day or night. And then we have turn display off. If you push this, the display goes off. Now the display is still functioning, your music's still playing, whatever, but you click on the screen and it comes back. It just maybe makes it a little easier for nighttime driving. Go down a little bit more, you got updates down there. Okay, so it's checked right now. It has over-the-air updates. You got preferences right here, about, and then of course if you mess up completely, you can return to factory settings. Let's take a look at apps. Well, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are turned on. My phone is not hooked up, so neither one of these are lighting up. Okay. If I hit vehicle, you can have rear seat reminder on or off. And what that does is when you shut the car off, it just flashes up in the driver's information screen saying, remember to check the rear seat. You can turn that on or off. Okay. Climate air quality. You can have auto defog and auto rear defog turned on or off. Use just a simple click to do that. You can set the auto fan speed to be medium, low, or high. Let's see, collision and detection system. So a lot of your safety systems. So forward collision system, you can turn it off. Why you'd want to, I don't know, but you can. You can have alert only or alert and brake. Now we're going to leave it on alert and brake because if it needs to warn you, it probably needs to help you brake. All right, front pedestrian detection. Again, off, alert, or alert and brake. This is where you make the setting. Lane change alert. So when you go to make a lane change, it's going to warn you something's in your blind zone. Okay, so that's a nice thing to turn on or leave on. Park assist. Okay, this has rear cross traffic alert. So when you're going at low speed, this is going to warn you if there's objects. Rear camera park assist symbols. So it can display warning icons in the camera, and those are on or off. All right, let's go down a little bit. You've got rear cross traffic alert. And again, it's just on or off. Okay, and again, it's just a simple click, and then it takes it on or off. All right, coming down below, comfort and convenience. Well, things chime and talk at you in the car. So right here, this is where, okay, looks like that's the lowest I can go. And that's the highest I can go. Okay, it's kind of interesting that they leave that bar there. I thought it would go the whole way. But anyways, you open your door and the keys are in, still chime at you. You leave the headlights on, it chimes at you. That's the volume adjustment. Okay, if you put the car in reverse, do you want it to wipe the rear window on or off? All right, lighting. Okay, vehicle locator lights. That's when you hit your remote button and the lights flash. You can turn that feature off right there if you want. Exit lighting. Okay, so when you get out, the exterior lamps, headlamps, that kind of stuff will stay on for from 30 seconds to 120 seconds to give you time to get to your door and get it unlocked. Or you can turn that feature off. Go back twice here. You can do set your power door locks. All right. You can have what's called the open door anti-lockout. You can turn that on or off. You can do the auto door unlock. So when you hit the remote, okay, it's going to open all doors or just the driver door, or that's off. Vehicle, of course, has to be in park. Or delayed door lock. Okay. If doors are all closed after a certain amount of time, it doesn't say how long. If you have that on, the doors will lock. Okay. Let's go back twice here. Let's go to remote lock and start, okay? So you can kind of set what your remote does when you're using the unlock and lock buttons. So remote unlock light feedback. So if you unlock, it'll flash the lights, and you can say off or flash lights. Same thing with remote lock feedback. If you lock it, it can have it give you lights and horn, lights only or horn only, or off. Remote door unlock. You want it to unlock all doors or just the driver's door. Remote start auto heat seats. So if you want, do you want it to turn on the heated seats automatically if you remote start the vehicle? And then you just have a bunch more settings down here. So you can have a remote left in vehicle alert turned on or off. All right, let's go back. You do have a teen driver mode, and we won't go into this because you have to go through a process, but basically you can assign a key and it will limit certain things. You have some geofencing that you can do, so on an app you can see if they're staying within the area that they're supposed to, that kind of stuff. And you have a valet mode, which we're not, of course, going to enter. All right, so now if I press home, these are the shortcuts down here. Now, we've talked about media, we've talked about phone, and we're going to get to that in a second. We've talked about climate, we haven't talked about this one. This one here would be like your OnStar. So, you could call advisor right there. That's all that does. There is no navigation on this particular model. All right, so let's go to phone. And I'm going to connect my phone, so I'm going to hit the plus button. I'm going to take out my phone, turn it on, go to my settings, go to Bluetooth. Okay, I gotta click add phone. All right, now my Chevrolet shows up in my Bluetooth settings, so I'm gonna click on it. Wants to know if that number is the same. Yes, it is. So I'm gonna hit pair on my phone. I'm gonna hit pair on the screen. On my phone, it asked me if I want to allow it to sync all my contacts. I don't want to do that because this is not my car. But if this were your car, you definitely would want to sync that. Now, on my phone, it pops up and says, do you want to use CarPlay? In other words, Apple CarPlay. I'm going to say yes. Now, if I say no, then it's just going to go in it'll look at your phone as a Bluetooth item. Your phone will still function fine. You can still stream music, still get calls, all that kind of stuff, but you don't get the Apple CarPlay. So I'm going to hit continue down here. Here we go. So turn my phone off and put that away. And this is Apple CarPlay. So here are like the recent things I had on Pandora. Oops, there we go. Screen was a little sticky there for a minute. You can also use these arrows down here if you want. So right now, these three are showing, but as you use the car, the three most commonly used apps on your Apple CarPlay will be the ones that show up here. Okay, you got a battery charge indicator, you got a Wi-Fi indicator, cell signal indicator. You can look at recent, you can look at collections for stations and podcasts, and you can look at Pandora for you. All right, now, right here, I got another button down here. If I press that, now I can see all of the apps that I can use with Apple CarPlay. Okay, so you're gonna notice there's 4 dots and it looks like we're on the second screen already. Well, in Apple CarPlay, you do have a split screen mode. And if I go swipe to the right, although this doesn't have navigation built in, Apple CarPlay will allow you to use almost any navigation app that you prefer on your phone through your system. So using that, you do have navigation. All right, I got my media here. I got a home button that I can click just to go straight home and through the navigation. All right, I'm gonna go this way. These are all the apps I can use that are on my phone. These are all things on my phone. So you can see here's Waze if you want to use that. Here's Google Maps if you want to use that. So and then of course Apple Maps. All right, so that's Apple CarPlay, and that's all done wirelessly, and it's the same for Android Auto. So I'm going to hit the home button for a minute. You notice that Apple CarPlay has now lit up in color, and that just means it's connected. If you were connected to Android Auto, that little symbol in the middle of the circle would light up as well. Okay, so down here you do have your outdoor temperature, and you have a clock, and you have your 4G LTE Wi-Fi signal, and it serves as a shortcut so you can get to the Wi-Fi name, the password, all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm just going to go backwards here. Now earlier I showed you a way through settings to change your clock, but if you simply click on the clock, it takes you right to it. So some nice little shortcuts there. Now in the split screen mode, right here, there doesn't seem to be a way to change the screens, but if I click on them, then it goes into the full screen. Okay, so if I go home, back here again, if I hit my phone, it's going to go right to Apple CarPlay. They give you some short buttons here, right here, just to tune. I wish there was a way to modify this screen to say I want maybe navigation and then media, or navigation and phone, and I can't seem to find a way that would do that. So I think these are locked in place. However, let's say you're playing Sirius XM. If you go to your home screen and you go to Apple CarPlay, or you just clicked on Apple CarPlay, I guess I could have done that too. Now I've got navigation running from my Apple Maps, but if I turn the volume up, which I won't do for copyright purposes, but Sirius XM is playing. So I'm using Apple CarPlay while playing Sirius XM. So they're not mutually exclusive. So one interesting thing, if you're in Apple CarPlay and you're in the split screen mode, you notice it says AVA. Well, I actually have Sirius XM playing through the speakers, but because this is Apple CarPlay, it's reading off my phone. Now, if I was using Sirius XM off my phone, that would show up there. But because I'm using it off the car, it shows up, it's reading it as, this particular screen is reading what's on my phone. But the idea is you can use things like navigation in Apple CarPlay while having USB music or Sirius XM playing. So you don't have to just do Apple CarPlay and use what's on your phone. So that's it on the driver's information screen. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.